Welcome back. In this lecture, it's time to take a first look at the application that we are going to build in this session. Now we'll take a closer look at this data files here, as you can see here. So these are the data files for this project, and we'll also check out the flowchart here, as you can see. So this is going to be the flowchart of this Bankist app, which we are going to build now. So I'll come back to this in a bit. So the application which we are going to build out this section, and the next one is called the Bankist. Okay. Let me show you the demo version. You can just go ahead and see in the search in the Google bankist.netlify.app. So it is an open source, so you can just access this. So this is going to be the final output demonstration. So here, let's just say user JS, and then here let me just say pin 4 once, and then when we click this, here we get the demo version of the Bankist app which we are going to build. Okay. So let me just explain. So in this here, you can see here the deposits and withdrawals. As you can see here, it is in the euros. So these data which we get from our data input from here. So as you can see here, these are the datas. So which is minus means which is withdrawal. So which is positive, it is deposit. See here, you can just transfer the amount to, for example, let me just say here JD, and then amount I'm saying here 5,000. So sent, see here withdrawal of 5,000 euros has been sent here. So here request a loan 10,000. See here today it gets added here 10,000 here. Okay, so let me just show you here one more thing. So when we go to JD here and then pin, as you can see here, which I just transferred from the previous account to this account here. And also if you have observed here, you can see that here we are having the dollar sign instead of euros. We will get to that. And as well, when we do some request transfer money or loan request or close account, here we are getting added to the top of the list. So we need to keep that in mind here. And also just try to go and explore here. You can see the balance amount, and then in out interest rate and everything. You can just sort this. Okay, so you can just scroll this, and that's how we do this. So now we are going to build this in the coming sessions. But in this session, we are going to take care of displaying all these movements and making these operations here possible, calculating the statistics as well as the current balance. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun, and let's build this application in from the next video. So this is a great project for training arrays, because we can do a lot of stuff with the arrays. And that you see here on the screen here, everything here is built using these arrays. So let's take a look at the flowchart here. So this is the flowchart that I built for this application. I built this based on the flow actions that we just saw in the live version of the Bankist application. So starting here in the top left, as you can see here, so as the users login, in which of these yellow actions, all of these yellow action elements here means a sort of action. So when we log in, when we log in, action is performed. We check for the correct credentials. If they are correct, we display the UI, and then we update the UI. And then we also update the UI. That means that to calculate the balance, calculate the summary, display the movements, and then later on in the next section, we'll also start and display a logout timer. So all of these are happens here right at the beginning as the users login. So actually this part here in the beginning here, everything that is inside the update UI will be the first thing that we will do. So from there on, we'll just use the fake login, and then we'll take care of these operations. So probably we'll come back to this flowchart by then. But anyway, it's already a good overview of all these steps we have implemented in order to build this application. Because all that matters here in this project is to build the application and learn about arrays. But in the next big project, we'll actually plan the entire application together. I'll show you all the steps we have to go through in order to come up with this chart like this. But for now, So my purpose with this flowchart is to give us a good overview and then implement all this feature of this application. So whenever we get lost, we can simply just come back to this flowchart and see how this application work and what we have left to implement. Now, with that being said, let's just go back to our editor here. So take a closer look at all these the data files here. Okay. And that we have right top of our here, which is the script here. 1 2 3 and 4. Here we have seen here the 4 account objects, as you can see here. Okay, this one was the JS. So here this is the one JS which we have seen in our demo, but we'll change that, we'll build according to our own. Okay. Now we also have here the pin, which is the login pin for that, and you can see here the movements here, which is the input data here, and also here you have the interest rate. Okay. For example, we could use this data of each movement, maybe a description and so on. But here we really just wanted to work with arrays. So I'm keeping it very simple here. So yeah, one object for each account. So you can ask why not use a simple map instead of an object. Well, the thing is that we are going to pretend that all this data is coming from a web API. And whenever we get the data from a web API, the data usually comes in the form of objects. And so this is why we have objects here. And then finally the array containing all these account objects in here remaining. This is the most common way of organizing the data in JavaScript applications, and so that's why we are going to use it throughout this session to make this actually feel a bit more real world application. Okay, as you can see here what all we have here. So here we have the data, here we have the elements which I'm going to show you in some time. Okay, and also when you see our starter file here, you have the prettier and you have the Bankist flowchart here, so which you can just come back and visit whenever you have time. Okay, and you see the icon which we have here. So let me just show you here. So you see that icons which we have here, and also this is our index file which contains the head, body, and then here the main class. So just go through this. Here you have the movements, and also here for the summary, here you have the operational transfer, operational loan, operational close, logout timer. So just go through all this in detail. And also here we have the logo, and here you have the styling script here, which is of around 300 lines, so which is beautifully designed here for our code here. As you can see, this is all designed through the CSS styling here. So this is all the starter files which we have here now. So I think that's it for the data files here. Okay, and just notice that I have already selected all of these elements that we are going to need. So you see that's a lot of stuff, and I'm going to explain what each of these is. But what matters here, that is, this way we don't have to write all these codes or cells. So this makes development a little bit faster. So I think that's it for this video. I think you got a good review of this project for this session. And once again, please go ahead and take a look at this URL and just explore what is happening around here. Okay, so let's move on.